Good morning, everyone. My name is Fabian Villasenor, and I'm a customer success manager with SkyBitz. On behalf of myself and the entire SkyBitz team, we want to welcome you to SmartTank Training Thursdays. This week's topic is viewing tank data, and this will be part 1 of 2. Thank you all for attending. We hope these 1-hour sessions will boost your level of knowledge within the SmartTank portal and help you utilize our world-class user interface to its fullest capability. The intent of the training is to provide a live demonstration of available SmartTank tools and features. Just a few housekeeping items before we dive in. We have muted all participant lines to reduce any background noise. If you've muted yourself and want to ask a question later, you will need to unmute yourself, as we're not able to do that for you. We have allotted time at the end of the training for questions and answers. You may also type questions in the chat as the session progresses. All sessions are being recorded and will be available for playback via the SkyBitz YouTube channel. So please visit our YouTube channel and subscribe. Our training sessions will be available for playback, and you will find much more information pertaining to your business needs. The areas I'll be covering this week are viewing and customizing the tank summary, viewing the tank history and recording manual readings, exporting SmartTank data to Excel, and the map view. So we'll go ahead and start the tank view summary here. Okay, great. So when you first log into the system, you'll likely land on the home page, which is a great dashboard to just take a good look at a snapshot view of your tanks, those that are in OK status or those that have different alarms that are set off for low or critical low and low battery and things of that nature. But I do recommend working off of the tanks list page because it has a lot more user functionality. So we'll go and work there primarily. So from the menu list, we'll go ahead and click on tanks. Just be a moment to load. Okay, so what I would recommend that everyone pay attention to here is, and I will go into kind of explaining, how to organize this grid. But I like to organize these different statuses on the left-hand side for a quick review. So some of the things that I recommend that you look at every morning when you pull this up is to look at the different alarm statuses. So the first one here that we're going to look at is the communication status. So you want to take a look and look at it and see if there are any that have a no recent update status or low battery alarm. So this will let you know that a unit has stopped communicating. In this case, you also want to look at the last inventory time. So you'll notice that a couple of these say January 1st, 1900. And generally, these will show as a stock location at your company. This will be indicative that these are new monitors that are in your stock, and they haven't necessarily stopped communicating. They probably are just waiting to be set up. But any others that you see with a red inventory font have stopped calling for some reason. So these need attention. So if you'll see this this location at Black Creek Lake, unit 804-833 is the tank name. This one stopped calling on October 24th, 2020. So we'll need to have somebody at the site maybe take a look at it and try to manually ping it to determine whether the device has stopped calling because it needs new batteries, or perhaps there's something else going on with the device. Maybe the device has been damaged or left open, and so we want to make sure that we go check on that one. Generally, anything that says that is in a blue font means that it has not missed a call and it's in good status. So moving along with the tank statuses, there are a couple other things to look for here. Sensor status, all of these are showing as okay, but if you see anything indicating no sensor input or invalid data, again, those should be looked at. If you have an alert here, even though you have a current inventory time, you'll notice that the inventory time is still just repeating itself. and that's because the monitor is indicating with that invalid data or no sensor input, it's indicating that it's not receiving data from the sensor. So that should, again, that should be looked at as soon as possible on site and troubleshot with our telemetry support group. Now the tank status tab, this is just to let you know if the monitor is listed as active or inactive. Some of our customers have seasonal tanks that they like to just mark inactive because they want them grayed out because they know that they don't have to look at those necessarily during the winter time or for sites like, for example, that are agricultural in nature. So that's a it's a good way to just kind of pay attention to those that are active and make gray out those that are dormant for the season. And the last column here is the volume alarm status. So here you'll find whether the tank is indicating that it's in low alarm or critical low alarm status. So these will be tanks that need to have a delivery soon. And we'll talk further about setting those low and critical low alarm settings in a future training session. So these columns function a bit like an Excel spreadsheet in that you can click on the heading to reorganize these. For example, if I click on the inventory time header, it will go from latest. It'll reorganize these by date. Same thing with any other. So the location name, I have these as alphabetical, but if I click on the header, it will go in reverse alphabetical order, and so forth. And just one thing to know is that these filters are just temporary. So when you log out and log back in, they'll revert to the sort order that's listed on the tank list option. And I'll demonstrate that now. So if you go into this button, the options button, here's where you can organize what you want to see in this grid. So the first column here to the left are your selected columns, and the first column at the top here is going to be the column that appears at the furthest left of that grid, and so on. So the next one is sensor status, and that's my second column that appears. You have on the right hand side, you have all the available columns that you can move into your grid. So if I wanted to see something, for example, days to critical, I can move that wherever I want it to appear on my grid. If I move it here, right under tank status, okay, and you'll see that oh, I think I actually selected the days to critical. So the days to critical now appears on my grid. You can also select from this options page, you can select what order you would like these the data to be presented. So I currently have this set as a primary sort to be by location name, and I have it as descending, but I change that to ascending. So it'll go alphabetical in alphabetical order from A to Z. And then my secondary sort is by tank name. So again, I have that listed as ascending. So this will organize it alphabetically by the location name first, and then secondary by the tank name. You can also, if you have several tanks that you are responsible for, you can change the page length of what you see to up to 250 tanks per page. In this example, I only have about 23 tanks, so I'm just going to go ahead and leave the page length at 50 and click out of the options here. And another way to change, how many tanks you see on your grid is by clicking on this this button. It says 50 tanks per page, but if you click on it, it takes you back to that page where you can select and change the number of tanks that you see per page. Okay. Now, another great thing that you're able to do from our web page here is to export this data to Excel. You would click on this button here, and once you click on export to Excel, you'll see the file here that has downloaded, and then you can open it and you can manipulate this, just like you would any Excel spreadsheet. You can put filters in it, or manipulate the document as you wish. It's essentially appears in the exact same format as I have on my grid. So I'll go ahead and close that out here. All right. So I just wanted to point out also that many of the tanks here have hyperlinks. As you can see, when I'm hovering over these, a lot of them are clickable. The first column status is the inventory time. If you click on the inventory time, and I'll go ahead and select one that's active here. So we'll look at Black Creek Lake, unit 31221. If I click on the inventory date, that's going to take you to, our history page. And I'll actually go back and demonstrate a little more on this page a little bit further down the road. But this is just a quick way to go to your history. You'll see, the tank history graph. So you want to just pay attention to, any, jumps or drops, because that's indicative that maybe there was a large, amount of consumption that happened, or there was a recent fill. So going back to the tanks list, the next clickable link is the location name. So if we click on the location name here being Black Creek Lake, this will actually show all of the tanks that are at this location. So you'll see that we have 5 tanks at this location. One which is made inactive, and one which is showing that it hasn't recently updated. All of the others seem to be fine, with the exception of this unit 804725, which is showing in critical low status. And as we scroll over to the right, these are additional columns that I've added to view. You can continue adding as many as you like, and just continue scrolling over to the right to see different metrics. So I can see, for example, the tank heights, the most recent levels in inches, and the tank capacity, and the current inventory in gallons. So going back to the tanks list here, I'll just take a moment to refresh. All right, so the next column heading here is the serial number, and you may or may not have access to the next page that I'm going to click on, just depending on your admin rights. So if I click on the serial number, it will take me to a setup page. And as I mentioned, if you have view only access, this will not be a clickable field for you. But for anyone who does have admin privileges, you're able to quickly go in and look at the tank setup information. So here you can make any modifications to the tank height, capacity, the product. You can change the settings as far as when the tank should notify that a short fill or a good fill has occurred. So a short fill being, a small fill, and a regular fill being a good fill. Usually we recommend that these be set at 10% of the tank capacity for a short fill and 50% for a good fill. However, you could decide that those should be different based on your own company needs. So again, here you can also modify the tank name, and moving further down, you're also able to look at the map of where this tank is reporting its location. So it usually does default to the actual address that's typed into the system. So if we look here, and I'm just going to save this because it was in GPS as the default here. But based on the address, 172 Private Road 2375, this map will display here that the tank is located here. You have the ability to look at the satellite photo and zoom in. But if we want to see the actual GPS location that this tank is located in, we want to click on Use GPS as the tank's location, click on Save All. And we can see that this tank is actually reporting that it's somewhere else. And again, we can look at the satellite and we can zoom in and we can see that it's at a construction company site. Okay, we'll go on. And so the final clickable link here is the seller ID or MIN number, mobile ID number. And if you click on the seller ID number, it will bring up any clients monitors that are associated to a host. So if your company sets up a primary or a host client at a site with associated clients, those are all connected via the same cellular ID or mobile ID number, and you'll be able to see all of the associated clients to that host. Okay, we'll refresh the tanks list again here. Okay, so I wanted to just go ahead and revisit the inventory time. So clicking on the inventory time, as I mentioned, takes you to the history. So there's a couple of things that I want to point out here. This graph here defaults to 35 days worth of history, the past 35 days. But you can change that. So just by clicking on the beginning field, we can take this further out to say maybe from November 1st to the current date, and click on submit date range to refresh. And then now it's expanded that graph so that we have a longer period of time that we are viewing. And along with the data that this graph represents, we do have the actual reading history here at the bottom. So here we can see, there hasn't been a whole lot of movement on this tank. It's hovering around 39.5 to 40 inches of product. There's a couple of other things that we want to mention about these readings. One is you can actually increase the number of results that you see per page. Right here, the default is 100, but you can select all if you wanted to be able to just continue scrolling down this page. If you don't select all, you can just continue to click next until you view the page that you're looking for. So it'll continue going further back if you just keep clicking on the next button. You can also use this page to enter a manual reading. So if you have somebody on site and they're just wanting to record an actual stick reading that was done at the site, you can go ahead and enter that in inches here, and our portal will go ahead and calculate the number of gallons that those number of inches represent. or you can do the reverse. If you know how many gallons are in the tank, you can enter the number of gallons, and then our system will do the calculations in inches, just in reverse. You want to just make sure that you're entering the date and the time as close as possible to when the tank was actually measured, just so that you know, we can compare it against what our monitor is reading, and you know, so the time and date is very important, so that we are making, you know, accurate comparisons of the last monitor reading compared to the last manual reading. Okay. Now, clicking on the tank name takes you to the tank details page. Well, I just clicked on an inactive one, but I'll take a look at a different one here. Sorry, I clicked on the location instead of the tank name. My apologies. All right, so clicking on the tank name will take you to our details page. So this provides a nice quick summary and a nice visual graph of the tank. So you can see this this tank actually has it's about 53% full, and it's reporting that it has 275 gallons. We also want to pay attention to the battery level. The battery level appears to be good. It's estimated at 87% remaining. Signal strength is based on the last time that it called, it was at a 6 out of 10. So it's you know, fair strength. And this could vary just, you know, throughout the day. The signal strength could be stronger or weaker, just you know, based on the, you know, the area that our monitor is in compared to, you know, how far the cell tower is. And also, if your monitor does have a, you know, a temperature sensor, you'll be able to see the, you know, the last temperature reading that the sensor took. Again, we have a nice little visual graph of the tank levels over the past 35 days. Okay. All right. So now, having gone through all those fields, I wanted to just go ahead and demonstrate another part of another available feature here, and that's our map view feature. So if you click on this button here, you'll be able to see on a map everywhere that your tanks are located. So we can see, and we can zoom out here a bit and see if there are any others. No, actually, this is only looking at those last 5 that I filtered. But if I go ahead and refresh here and go into my tanks list, this will show where all 23 tanks that are currently on my account. It will show on a map where they are all located. This will just take a minute or so. Okay, so again, we'll click on the map view, and so we can see that we have one in Tennessee, and most are located in different areas of Texas. This also has, you also have the ability to do a satellite view, and we can zoom in here. And these colors represent the level status of the monitor. So any that you see that are in green are in OK status. Those that are in yellow are in low status. So if we click on it, you'll get a little pop-up window here, and the pop-up window will demonstrate different information about that tank. You'll get the tank name, the organization that it's listed under, the location name, the physical address, the inventory in gallons or the percentage full, its latitude and longitude location, the sensor status, so LA being low alarm status, and then you have other information regarding the product and the cellular mobile ID number as well as the available capacity in that tank. Okay, so we can look at one more here. So we'll look at the critical low alarm status. So this one, again, CLA being critical low. And you have one clickable link here, view tank details, which will take you back to that page that we looked at earlier. So you're just dialing in and getting that that tank level graph with all the other details that we just reviewed. Now, one thing to point out there, sometimes you'll have a location with multiple tanks at one location. Let me see if I can find one here. I think these might be, perhaps this one. I think I had checked this earlier, and I believe there were some that were all at one location, but now I can't locate it. So the point that I wanted to make is if you have more than one tank at a location, you're able to toggle back and forth between the different tanks to select and view the tank that you're interested in looking at. Oh, here we go. Here's one. So this one pin represents multiple 7 tanks, as a matter of fact, at this location named Sycamore. So I wanted to just demonstrate what I had discussed, where you can toggle back and forth and get the different data points of every tank. So you can see this is a different tank name, and again we can see all the different details of each tank as a little snapshot on this pop-up window, and dial in further if we like. All right. Now there's actually one other thing here that I missed, and that was with regard to the inventory time. The inventory time does have you also have the ability to export this information to Excel by clicking on this button here, and again you'll get the readings in an Excel format, which you can then manipulate using different filter options that Excel provides. Okay. All right. And so I think I've run through quite a bit in a very fast fashion. So I think what we can do is open it up for questions.
All right. So if you have a question for the team to answer, you can do it one of 2 ways. You can simply, in the attendee list, you can raise your hand or click the have a question icon, and I can unmute you and have you ask your question on over the air. Otherwise, you can submit your question via the question chat box, and I can get you answered from there as well. So while we let you guys think through your questions or decide if you want to ask over the air or in chat, we did have a few that came in over the chat. Fabian, I know some were answered, some were answered in a private mode, but the first question was, if a tank is marked inactive due to off-season, do we have to pay for the tank to be reactivated? And could you speak a little more on that?
Yes, so that's a great question. So we just want to make sure that you're aware when you go into the system and you mark a tank as inactive, that is only just for the sake of how it's displaying on our grid. If you are going to have a tank that that you want to take offline for an extended period of time, we suggest that you either call into telemetry support or send in an email requesting for that monitor to be deactivated temporarily, so that the billing is paused. And we want to just go ahead and do that, because making it inactive on the portal is just affects how it displays visually. So if there is going to be, if it is a seasonal tank and that it's going to be out of service for 4 or 5 months, you want to just let us know that you need it deactivated so that the billing is changed.
Okay. That actually answered, I think, some of the follow-up questions that came in for that. And then the question that just came up was, will the video of this training be available for later viewing? The answer is yes. And once we wrap up, we'll actually show you the where you can find that. All the trainings will be on the SkyBitz YouTube channel that you can access directly through YouTube. And we'll provide a direct link to that. There's a playlist that will have the tank trainings as we go through them these sessions, and they'll be uploaded to the YouTube channel. I believe the link is also in the Q&A for the question that was asked. Let's see, there's a question from Bruce Johnson. What is the sensitivity of the sensor as a % total tank volume? So if you want to take a stab at that, Fabian, Bruce, I can unmute you. I know that there was some clarifying questions that came in, so let me unmute you. Oop, I think, Bruce, you may have muted yourself. So if you want to unmute yourself.
And we may need to follow up on that one, Ira. I think that's more a technical question that we may need to get some data from engineering on. I don't have that specific information readily available.
That was just a general question because I was looking at that one tank you were showing and it didn't look like level was dropping at all. I was wondering if there's any usage going on in that tank.
Yeah, so these monitors are basically for demonstration purposes. So a lot of these are set up, just in an office somewhere. So they're not actual tanks that are in use. So that would kind of explain why there's really no change in the product. These are all demo monitors that we have here at SkyBitz.
Well, one other question on that same line: can you expand in that y-axis so you can get a better definition of what the usage rate is if the tank level is going down?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? I didn't follow.
So you were showing that trend chart of tank volume with the critical and low level.
In the history?
Yeah, the history.
Mm-hmm.
So can you adjust that y-axis? Can you expand it?
Yeah, the date range?
Yeah, well, you see on the left it goes from 0 to 500, right? Can you rescale that to 0 to or 400 to 500 so you can?
Yeah, that will scale itself just based on the tank itself. So this tank goes to 500 because it's only a 517 gallon tank.
Okay.
So if it were a 10,000 gallon tank, then the scale would be 10,000.
Did that answer your question, Bruce?
Well, Not really. So if I wanted to see, I mean, I guess I could go to the table and I can look at the numbers of what the current level is. But if I wanted to expand this table here and just look at between 400 and 500 gallons and expand that to the full range of that table and see what,
Gotcha.
how fast that's dropping, do I have that capability like I do in Excel, or is this table fixed to the tank volume always?
I agree
Gotcha.
with Allison with the customer support group. So unfortunately, this visual graph is fixed to the tank setup. Similar to what Fabian said, you know, it is based on the tank setup, the tank height being that uppermost axis, like that y-axis. So we wouldn't be able to adjust it. You know, if you wanted to kind of hone in on, you know, between the 400 gallon mark and the 500 gallon mark, you wouldn't be able to do that. On the feature itself, you can export the inventory records to Excel and potentially kind of chart it that way, but on the website, we wouldn't be able to do it.
That answers my question. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Bruce, for the question. All right, next question came in from, can a quarterly, monthly, annually be used to display or generate it? I'm assuming from a report perspective. Jose, if, looks like you are self-muted, but if you want to take yourself off mute. All right, so while Jose is doing that, so can a quarterly, monthly, annually report be used to display or automatically used or displayed?
I think if I'm understanding correctly, I think the question is regarding usage. So we can, so there's a couple of different ways. If we're just looking at one tank, if, you know, for those that have, you know, the admin rights, they're able to go into this usage tab and change the range that they want the usage calculated over. The other way, if someone is looking to get like a quarterly report on like all their tanks, and I believe we're going to have a you know, classic training course that's going to go more into detail in the future. But then we'll start needing to go into reports and creating a usage report here. So we can click on usage, and then we can choose date range and say, you know, 90-day or previous month, previous week, previous quarter. And, you know, again, I think we're going to visit this in a future session. But, you know, if you need help with this, you can contact our telemetry support group. You can either shoot them an email or give them a call, and we can provide the steps in setting this up for you. And this will generate a report that you can you can request on demand, or you can set this report to be delivered to you, you know, periodically.
And he did say you answered his question. Oh, there you are, Jose, you're off mute.
Yeah, I am.
So, I did see your comment. So Fabian answered your question. Did you have anything, any other follow-ups or anything else you wanted to ask?
Not at this moment, maybe on the next training, once I review the video.
Got it, no worries, no worries. All right, well, I think that's all the questions I'm seeing right now. If anyone else has any questions, please, you know, go ahead and raise your hand. Otherwise, Fabian, I'll turn it back over to you to wrap it up.
All right, well, thank you, Ira. Well, we value your feedback, and I'd appreciate it if you take a moment following this seminar to fill out a survey. It'll only take about 2 minutes. This valuable information will help our team ensure that we're providing content that's important to you and running your business. Thank you for attending our session today. These sessions are about you, our partners, and helping you leverage the powerful tools provided. If you have any recommendations or ideas for future session content, please let us know and we'll be happy to put one together for you. As a final reminder, please go to our SkyBitz YouTube page and click subscribe. And next week, February 4th, February 4th, we'll be doing the part 2 of this session, which will dive into tank view profiles and as well as setting options and filters for those tank view profiles. Thank you again, and see you all next week.